All right, I'm only using one monitor, so I won't be able to see all of you while I'm presenting. So yeah, I'm talking about creating a real-time collaboration tool, and in specific, Agile Flush, which is a fun but also a semi-serious thing. And yes, I attempted to draw a poop emoji there. So I'm Marc Duiker. I'm a developer advocate at Agile, and at Agile we enable developers to create real-time experiences at scale. I've been a Azure MVP for the last couple of years, mostly focused on serverless part on Azure. You might have heard about Azure Functions University, which I'm very much involved in. If you haven't heard about it, definitely give that a look, and also ping me if you want to contribute a lesson there. But today we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Agile Flush. It's a web application that you can use with your Scrum team for online planning poker. So this is how it looks like. We'll do a demo with all of us in a couple of minutes. So that will probably be chaos. So I'll leave it up to the end. But I try to introduce like a very minimal UI, some ASCII art, which I like, and some other fun things which we'll experience soon, hopefully. So why did I build this? Well, this was part of my onboarding process at Agile. I started there in November, and one of the assignments was, well, please create something with our SDK and something with Azure and something with a JavaScript library. And so I did some thinking, and I wanted to create both something fun and enjoyable, but also still practical. So that's why I came up with Agile Flush. I definitely did quite a lot of brainstorming about the name. The name is always the most difficult thing when you create a product. So I spent the longest on that. So what components are in Agile Flush? Well, it's all hosted on Azure Static Web Apps. I think Azure Static Web Apps is a very nice service within Azure. It's great for static websites. It doesn't matter what type of app or static sites generator you're using. It works very nicely on it. I'm using Vue in this particular occasion. Which was actually quite new for me because I have a long background in .NET, so I had to sharpen my skills here a bit. But it's not only for static websites, because you can also use Azure Functions. It's limited to HTTP triggered Azure Functions, but this is very useful. So it's not just a static website. You can also add some functionality by having Azure Functions in there. So that's very nice. The other component, and that's the real-time component, is offered by Agile, and that makes sure that the whole team, when you're connected in that session and doing your voting on your news stories, that all of the data is synchronized of all of the votes. The connection between Azure Static Web Apps and Agile is done in two different ways. One way is done through the Azure function that connects to Agile via REST call, and that is done initially to obtain an authentication token from Agile, and that authentication token is then used in the Vue application to set up a channel and do the rest of the communication. So once we have that authentication token, the channel is created and set up, and then all the clients will connect to that channel. And in this case, we are using a pub/sub mechanism. So all of the clients are both publishers, but also subscribers. If you look a bit more in detail how that's working, let's start with the first person that goes to this web application. They click on the button to start a new voting session. Then under the hood, that client connects to Agile. It will create a new channel, which is then scoped to this session. But the client, and in this case, I mean also the Vue application, also stores some information in local storage in the local state. So, for instance, the client ID and which channel name. So the session ID, that's also stored in local state. So once that all is in place, the client will register itself to that channel. That's called a presence. And presence is very useful when it comes to creating real-time tools because other clients can actually query the presence in that channel. So clients can very easily figure out who has joined that channel. So once that's there, the URL is appended with the session ID and then the first client needs to share that URL with the rest of the team. So I'm just assuming people are using Teams or Zoom or whatever online tool they're using. They share the URL, and then the rest of the team will navigate to that URL. And since the session ID is part of the URL, once they visit the site, they are connected to Ably, but they're also automatically connected to the right channel. So in a real life situation, you will not have 2 clients, but I hope your team is a bit bigger and you have maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 clients connected all to the same channel. So once you're in the state, you can discuss your user stories and do the voting. Oh no, one thing more. Once the second client is connected, it can then retrieve, it can then query the presence. So also that client is then up to date with the presence on the channel, and that will also store that information in their local state. And again, once the second client is connected, they will also broadcast their presence also to the same channel, so the other clients are aware of their presence. So at this situation, all of the clients are connected. They have entered their presence in the channel, so all the clients are in sync. So once that is done, the voting can begin. So here's a situation where the first client clicks on one of the voting cards. Let's say we vote for 2 story points. That is saved on their local storage, but also a message is being put on the Ably channel with also that same number, and that is then published, and all of these subscribers will get that message as well, and that will also update their local state. And voting is not the only thing that goes on. You can also undo your vote, and again, the same mechanism takes place. So local state is updated for the action that you do, but also a message is published that the other clients will handle upon. There are also 2 actions or 2 commands. One is show votes. So if any one of the clients press the show votes button, then you'll see a number below the cards that indicates how many people voted for that card. And anyone can also press the reset votes button, and then all of the votes are reset across all clients. So also these commands are synchronized across all clients. All right, and enough talking. Let's do a demo now. And I was still only sharing a window, so I need to actually share and do a new share. Let me see how I can do that. Let me check. Let me stop the share, because it's probably easier if I share my complete
it's the same
window instead of the Just share the entire desktop. That will be fine. All right, so you should now see a web browser and an Agile Flush. So I'm the first one here, so I'm going to start a session. It will generate this random named session for us, which will also be part of the channel ID. This green tick box indicates that I'm now connected to Ably. So I'm going to copy this URL and put it in the chat. And yeah, if everyone would be so kind to then go to this URL, and then we could we should be able to see some more participants joining. Yes, and you're definitely seeing that. Perfect. All right, and yeah, feel free to click on any of the votes. Don't click on the show votes or the flush votes yet, please, but definitely click on the cards. I'm voting 3. Maybe the vote, it can be how well I was drawing that poop emoji earlier. So feel free to vote whatever you want. Okay, so 16 votes of 17 participants. All right. Oh, they're both still increasing. All right. So when I click the show votes now, so let's say we have set a time box of let's say 1 minute to make our vote. So, and now I click the show votes button, and this will trigger the show votes for all of you. So you will now see the votes that we all did. All right, so it's 1, but let's say we are in agreement. Fine, it's I don't know, is it like 13 or whatever, or 8? That's the final count, and then we can press the flush vote button, which will then reset the local state, and we can talk about a new user story. All right, so I hope your sound was on, because you should definitely have heard something. All right, so that's the demo. the demo was made mostly for my learning experience, right? To learn this new SDK, and I really enjoyed it. Also learned a bit about Vue, I learned a bit about Agile, which was quite enjoyable for me. The source, it's all open. It's on GitHub, so definitely have a look here. I have to update some npm packages, of course, which you have to do every day, but Dependable really helps with that. So there's quite a description there, how this works, how you can get this running locally. I've also added some code tours as well if you want to have some nice guided through to the code base. So definitely have a look there, and feel free to contact me on Twitter if you want some more information. Thanks.